Hi, I'm That Artist Tracey, and today I'm going to show you how I do my watercolor backgrounds that all seem to bleed in together. This way I can show you how I use my water, how I use the sprayer, how I activate the paints, and even how I draw my little dragonflies in the background. So stick around, paint along with me if you like, and ask any questions at the end. See you on the other side. So before we get started, this is what you're going to need. You're going to need some watercolors. I use my little Mont Marte travel palette. A sprayer. This little purple one is just from my local Target or Kmart, depending on where you are in the travel section. A vessel to hold your water. I happen to have this great little 2-container watercolor thing for my travel, but you can use anything as long as it holds your water. Some brushes, and of course, your water. And of course, don't forget your beverage of choice. I've got my coffee. What are you drinking? Before we get started on the actual painting, we need to activate our watercolors. You'll remember from school, or maybe you already use them, that watercolors are a dry cake pigment. They don't come off when they're dry. If we activate them by spraying them with some water, it allows them to wake up, and when we're ready to use them, it makes them much easier to use and the colors come out better. Today we'll be painting the background of these great little dragonflies. I actually drew these ones before, but a little later I'll show you how I drew mine. In the meantime, you can just use a piece of blank paper or another sketch that you've used in the past. Before we go any further, I just wanted to mention what pen I used, because a normal felt tip pen is going to bleed on your page and it's going to ruin your piece of work unless that's the effect that you want. So these ones are the Uni Pin Fine Line. They're water and fade proof pigment ink. I believe you could get some of these for like scrapbooking and stuff like that as well, that are, as long as they're waterproof, they won't bleed with your watercolors, is my understanding. But these ones are the ones I use. They're really good. They come in a whole lot of different pen tip sizes, and they just make outlining a little more confident. I got these from Officeworks. Not sure where you get them in the rest of the world, but sure, everything's online these days, right? What we need to do is prepare our colours. Basically, what that means is we add some water to our palette. Now I use the lid, and I don't tend to clean up my paints because all of these reactivate when you go wet, and today I am going to work in the blues and greens. Sometimes this backfires on me, but most of the time it's okay. And what we're going to do is choose our first colour, and I like to go for something that's a little bit lighter because you can't get the light back when you use the watercolours, but we can build up, so we can always add more colour as we go. So I'm going to start with probably with this beautiful green. Right, get a lot of water in there. So these have been activated before. I've added a little more water to my brush so that I can pick up a whole lot of pigment. Check that out. So much pigment. You can see my brush is not the cleanest, and that's okay. And then I'm going to come back over here and pick a spot where I've got this sort of bright green colour, and really just mix it into the water that I put on here. Now if you've got a clean palette, this is heaps easier because you don't have to think about where you pop in the water. And the more water you add, the more washy the effect you get. So at this point, because I want it nice and thin, I want to keep it really wet. Okay. Then to add it to the paper, I need a better tripod. I am sorry. First things first, water. So this is a wet on wet on wet on wet technique, basically. You put the water where you want it, and because I want to do the whole page, I'm spraying the whole page. Then we pick up some of our water on our brush, our colour, not our water, sorry. We just lightly work it in where we want. And it does help to prep all the colours that you want to start with. Sometimes you'll want to have like a blue bleed into a green or a purple, or so doing that all at once is actually a whole lot easier, and that's what I should have done. But I also did not bring enough brushes out with me today. not big ones anyway, so I haven't prepped them. So I'm just gonna, while these settle and you can see them doing their thing, they're just sort of starting to creep into the paper a little bit. You can see the textures growing, and I'm mixing some blue now just to pull. And as I want to get them closer to each other, I'm letting the water do the work. So something that I've discovered, and I'm not a trained watercolorist, let's put this out here. I started watercoloring when I went to England last year because I can't travel with my acrylics. Well, I probably could have, but I decided that my anxiety around airports and traveling with liquids was too much, and I thought, well, watercolors exist and I really like the way they look when other people do them, so here we go. Now this is I forgot to wash my brush and my purple's a little smoky, but it actually works. So I try to put the darker colors to their edges or where I want a little bit of depth, but I don't use too much in my dark colors because you can't take it back as well as if you were using something that was a bit brighter, like an acrylic, maybe something a bit thicker. But at this point it looks really good, and we can see the colors are starting to play with each other. And I want to bring some brightness around my bugs, so I'm going to add a little orange, add a little warmth to bring them forward. Now you might be able to see that my colors are not spreading like they were, so I can either decide that I actually like this and it's okay, or if I want to spread them a bit more, and we have to be careful in this zone because this color and this color will make brown. If I want to lighten them, I simply add more water. And there are two ways I can do this. I can simply add water to my brush and bring it in, and this will start creating those little rings in the color. But you do have to be careful that you use clean water. You're not using something that's darker than what you've got. And then the other way, and the simple way, this does affect the entire painting, is to spray it with our spritzer. Add more water and go back in again. The amount of water you use is dependent on your paper, so I'm really lucky that I'm using a paper that is it's like ready for watercolors. It's not a watercolor paper, but it is nice and thick, so it takes in a lot of water. It's always fun filming outside because everyone kind of watches what you're doing and you're like, oh, please don't come and interrupt, I'll have to start again. You can see here that I've got like this bleed in the colors, and I know that will dry nicely, but if you know you're a little hesitant, you can take the water off with a tissue, your fingers, sleeve of your jumper, depending on what you're wearing. And of course I wasn't very prepared today, so jumper sleeve it is. I just put paint all down the rest of my book, but that's okay. I'm actually going in with a little pink because I thought it would be good, but I think I'm a little wet right now to add a new colour. So let's go back to adding my greens. When you add the extra water, you do lose some of your vibrancy. But I'm going to go in with a cooler green because I kind of want to knock some of these areas back into the background, even though they're darker, by adding a cool green. So this one is Viridian. It's actually one of Monet's favourite colours. By adding these darker, cooler greens, I'd probably do that with the blues too, to be honest. Now maybe we'll stick with green. The coolness of the colour actually makes it recede into the image. So cool colours go backwards, warm colours go forwards. And you'll see, so you see here with this pink, it's like popping. It's really popping. And yet if you come back in here with these greens now, they're dropping down into the page a bit and giving you some depth. Now, because I've got a curved book, we've got this problem here with the colours have all bled to the edge, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm actually just going to clean them up with a dry brush, push them out a bit. I'm going to let this dry and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, so we're looking a little bit dry. We're still wet, which is fine because it'll give us these really cool effects. I'm going to go in now with a bit of more pink in these zones just to pump this up, this beautiful contrast in here. I love it. The important thing is that it is still wet. You want to deepen it. You want to get a real like bright pink in there while you're doing it, or bright orange. Just go back straight into your palette. Don't use your washy colors. Go straight into your palette and dip it in and use that that thicker watercolor. See how that's coming out much thicker, much brighter. So the more you dilute a paint, the more washy it is. But the thicker you use it, the more you can be accurate. So it really does depend. Watercolor is an incredible thing. It does some real magic, actually. Which is why I've become a little obsessed. So I went straight into this purple instead of using my watered down version and just pull this baby out. And it is still going to bleed because my paper is wet. If you don't want it to bleed, you should just go straight on to drier painting. But where's the fun in that? Do the same with the orange on this little guy. I'm really like, this is just a fun little mindful exercise. I'm not thinking about it beyond, oh, I like that color. A little bit yellow to warm up the page. Isn't that beautiful? Bring out these corners a bit. I actually want to make this one bleed a bit, so I'm just going to add some drops of water here and there. And start causing these little rings that form in the paint. And you can of course do this any bit. You just get a bit of clean water, boop, 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 and in they go. Now I want to unify this yellow a little bit because it is a bit out of the blue. Yeah, no, it's not. It's out of the yellow. Just pop through. We've got some color change going on over here, so let's add an extra bit of layer of water where it's going to fall off my page. You can see where these purples and stuff are starting to bleed, and it's beautiful. So we can actually use our brush to pull the color out, which is fun. We'll make it work in this. Give it some shadows. And really, there's no limit to what you can do when you stop or how you keep going. You just go until you feel it's right. Sometimes I like to get in here with this big brush and just draw things out a bit more. Bring them out. We're a little bit muddy here, and I might go in a little later and fix that. But for now, I want to see what the paint itself will do. I'm really loving this little play over here. It's all about discovery. Like, you never know what is going to happen when you go in and do things, and you can change it so beautifully. Right now I'm thinking, okay, in this muddy bit, how about I add a little extra water, see how that runs, and then maybe I can just add some dots in here with the purple. And you can see my page where it's leaning, it's all running off to the side, but that's okay. And really, when that dries, I will mix my colors. That was a bit silly. When it's dry, we'll have these beautiful markings, and I can decide whether it's a winner or not. And I can decide whether I'm going to do any more to it. Like, do I bring out the acrylics and play with them on top? Do I add more colour? Do I let this baby dry and then go on here with a different technique? We'll see. But this is how I actually kind of bleeding backgrounds. It might not be the correct way, and on every paper it will play differently. So you do need to experiment with your own materials, have fun and play, and get messy with them. Get your fingers in them, go and actually see what you can achieve by playing, just like we did when we were kids. And that's that. So I hope that you got something really useful out of that video today and that I didn't drone on for too long. I'd love to see what you're creating. I've got Facebook, Insta, all the grams, you know. Head on over, share what you're creating with me, drop your comments and questions below. If there's something I can show you that I already do, let's make a video, and if not, let's research it together and learn, because that's the whole part of being a creative community, is that we get to create and learn together. So my friends, until next time, stay creative. Bye. Got to draw painting outside. I mean, look at this. If you want to know what's in my travel kit, definitely check out my Patreon. Drop a comment below and I can give you some tips. Oh God, I think we're about to get rained on. It's time to hustle. Bye!